My friend Jason and I were in line at a deli up on Rock Rimmon Avenue ordering a sandwich. And we got up to the counter, and this beautiful Asian woman was at the counter, and she looked up and she recognized me. And she said, "Oh, you again. My husband very angry at you. He looking for you. He say, 'Stupid American, you take better care of your rodents than I take care of him.' He say, 'I work 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. I come home to nothing. No massage, no nothing.'" And I'm standing there with my friend Jason, and I'm trying to figure out just what the heck she's talking about. And then I remember the day before when I was in there, and I was at the counter, and she looked me up and down. She said, "Oh, you look like an artist. What do you do for your business?" And at that point, I could feel everyone in line behind me kind of leaning in to hear what I was going to say next. It was the perfect storm. And I said, and I'm not sure why I said it, but I said, "I run a small animal massage parlor." And her eyes got really big. And she said, "Really? What kind of animal do you do?" And I said, "Gerbils, hamsters. I just picked up a sweet chinchilla account." And she was just over the moon with me and my business. And she said, "Really? Only tiny little animals?" And I said, "That's right. That's how I got to be where I am today, at the top of the small animal massage parlor industry." Now, I even have a little saying down at the shop. You gotta be this small to get on this ride. Now, I don't consider myself a liar. I am a little bit sarcastic, and sometimes I say things and people believe it, and I just let it go. I just let it ride and see how far it can go. But I realized really quickly I was kind of in a jam because I had two options. I could come clean right away and tell her the truth, or I could never go back in that deli ever again. Option 2 was completely out because I love this deli. It was right by my office, and they had great sandwiches. The price was right, and I was in the middle of this punch cart deal where if you buy 8 sandwiches, you get one sandwich for free. So there was no way I could, I was pretty committed at that point. There was really no turning back. So I figure I'm gonna at least ride this one out until I get the rest of my sandwiches in. So really, there was no turning back for me at that point. So the next day I went in there, and she was just so happy to see me. She was so curious about my business. She encouraged me, and she believed in me, and she understood me. And my business was booming at that point. I had expanded my menu, and I was offering a gerbil cheek stretch relaxation massage. And I had just added a week-long weight loss spa pack for fat guinea pigs. Day 1, throw them in the cage. Day 2, keep them in the cage. Day 3, pretty much the same thing. But day 4, complimentary carrot sticks. Day 5, collect the money. So things were going pretty well there with my business, and I thought, I really wanted to expand my business and just really get it off the ground. There was really only one problem. It didn't really exist. But as you know, entrepreneurs, they don't sweat the small details of stuff like that. They just kind of just plow right ahead and keep a big picture in mind. So at that point, I decided I was going to talk to her a little bit about, I went in the next day and she was like, how's your business doing? How did you get started? And I know a lot of people looked at me at that point and they just thought, and they saw how successful I was with my business, and they just assumed that it was really easy for me, that it just came easy overnight. But that really wasn't the case. I mean, it was a struggle at the beginning as I got my business off the ground. I remember that. And I remember the day that I got my big break. I was in my office and I got a home call, came in for a 618. That was a hamster call. And it was up in Inglewood, and I had to go up there. When I got up there, it would turn out to be a celebrity client. You guys ever heard of Jake Jabs from American Furniture Warehouse? I get up there, and Jake Jabs is nowhere around. He's traveling. He's on a work vacation, but his wife, Beatrice, answers the door, and she's a knockout. And she's wearing a chiffon nightgown, pink. She's got a plunging neckline here with a rabbit fur collar. And I looked at her, and I looked at that plunging neckline and that soft rabbit fur, and I said, what a waste of a good client that would have been. And so anyway, she brings me into her house, and she says, she's got this hamster and had some uneven muscle tension. So I quickly decided that what I needed to do there is, I mean, this is kind of a trade secret, but it was pretty obvious to me at that point that the uneven muscle tension that I felt in the hamster was caused by an uneven exercise wheel. If those things get out of alignment, then there can easily be some overcompensation, some muscle tension. And the Asian woman was like, really? And I was like, yes, definitely. So I quickly did an assessment of the running wheel, and sure enough, it was a little bit out of alignment. So I whipped out my calipers and I got it back into alignment. And then everything was going to be fine after that. And then I told her that I got a patent on my HEWAC, which is a hamster exercise wheel alignment caliper. So that reminds me, I need to check at the trademark office, on the patent and trademark office on that, and make sure that's still in effect. But after that, with her, I kind of parlayed that into this deal with Jake Jabs directly, and he had these lion cubs that he uses for all his TV commercials, and he wanted me to kind of calm them down. So I started going down to the American Furniture Warehouse, and I worked on them, got them calm, and everything was going well there. And then I got scratched on the neck by one of the cubs. I had a habit of carrying Slim Jims in my breast pocket, and I learned that was not going to be really good to be doing that. So at that point, I decided I need to kind of trim my business down and just focus on my core market, my niche market, and that was going to be 8 pounds or less. So that's kind of what I stuck to. And just to give you guys an idea how far I took this over the next couple months. One day, I walked in there. I got my euphoria jacket on that I walked in there. And she quickly saw that, and she really loved my jacket, by the way. My lab coat is what I called it. And she said, do you have to get any special technical training for your business? And I said, well, I actually did have to I have a master's degree in an FFME. And she was like, what's an FFME? And I said, oh, that's a ferret facial mask enhancement degree. And that, to me, that was a great idea. I was thinking right when I said it, I was like, man, I started thinking I might be getting a little over the top here, but this could really happen for me. Because I don't know if you've ever been at a party and you sit down and the next thing you know, the cat or the dog at the party finds you, and then they're putting their head in your lap, and you start giving them a little rub down, and the next thing you know, you find that sweet spot on the cat. And it's just like, wow, I've got a knack for this. This is really easy for me. And And then I decided that I really needed to kind of tell her about some of the organizations that I was involved in. And my business, Euphoria, was was an accredited member of NAMCLAW. And that is, I don't know if you guys have heard of NAMCLAW. It's the National Association of Man-Cat Love. And I had a membership with there. And then, things went pretty well after that. With any growing business, you're going to have a lot of growing pains. And for me, my weakness was always human resources. And one day I walked in there and she says, "How's your business doing?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's getting pretty good. It's just getting kind of crazy right now. I got so many people down there on staff." And I'm just like, geez, the other day I was down there and I had to pull everyone into the conference room. We had a meeting. And that's when I kind of laid into these guys and I said, "Look, guys, I just want you to know that we have a new rule, and it's at every franchise location now that this new rule is going into effect. There are no longer going to be any Nerf basketball hoops allowed in the break room. It's just getting too tempting, guys. Guys, seriously, hamsters are not basketballs, okay? We don't want that kind of activity in the break room." And so that resonated well with all my employees, and then I had to have like a one-on-one with Dale, and Dale was my problem employee. This guy, he had a lot of rage issues, and I was like, "Dale, listen," and she's just paying, "Really?" And I'm like, "Dale, I told you before that I needed you to complete your rage classes. These are mandated by the company, and I didn't see your sign-off sheet on that, so I'm going to have to find out, you need to finish those classes." And then, some of the other issues we were having down there, we were having a lot of high-step accidents. That's where, when you're walking around and, because we have very small clients there. "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So we instituted a shuffling-only stepping when you could only walk like this when you had clients in the room. And that cut down on a lot of our client injuries. And then, Dale is just, how Dale is. He's just like always coming up with something. And then, so I kind of got the employees under control, and Dale was still, basically, he was punting the clients. And that was not good. You don't want to just be, no matter how upset you get, you don't want to be punting a client. So we kind of got that figured out. And then, let's see, some of the other problems we had down there, we pretty much had those worked out. Then there was the commercial that I wrote a song, an extended jingle for. She loved that, and I want to sing that for you guys real quick. It didn't get a lot of airplay. All right, it didn't get any airplay. I wrote it really just for her, and she loved it. I sang it to her several times, and it just really got stuck in my head, and it goes like this. "Hey, Miss Prickle, come with me. Bring your friend Mr. Hammy along. We can soar to the height of ecstasy. Put your trust in my online degree. I'll make you purr, unruffle your fur. I'm the man that gives the cure. Once I indulge your fantasies, your owner will buy me a brand new flat screen TV." She loved that song. I sang that to her so many times. And it just went on and on forever. It seemed like for 2 months. My punch card, I completed that. The next thing I know, I'm on another punch card. And every day that I went in there, I would drive in, and if I got there like during the rush, and I knew there was going to be a big line. I knew I didn't have to get too prepared for my encounter with her, so I didn't really have to come up with anything. But sometimes I just felt like chatting with her, and I'd go in there after the break, after the big rush was over, and we'd sit down, and and we would just talk, and I would just go over everything, and she just really understood me, and my relationship with her was really blossoming, and I loved her. And I wish I could say that I had wrapped this up with her in a nice little box with a ribbon on it and, kind of came clean with her. But on the day that I went in to really tell her everything, she wasn't there. And I asked this guy behind the counter, and he said that her and her husband, I don't know, I think they moved to Encinitas or something. They moved back to California. So now I've got this woman out there who lives under the illusion that there's a world out there where people learn from a binder how not to step on hamsters and how to shuffle their feet like this. And they learn how not to punt the client. And there's this, sweet, gullible woman out there. I mean, there's a second scenario that I thought of, and that scenario is, there's a guy out there right now who's on a stage in Manitou, and he is even more gullible than she is, because she knew all along that it was total BS and that she went along with it the entire time. And that's what I learned about gullibility, is sometimes if you think someone's really gullible, you need to think about, are they really, or are you gullible? Because they really know you're full of it. So that's my story of euphoria. Thank you very much.